Hello and welcome to the 67th episode of the Gochuucast. And today, I'm just gonna let Spat get his thing out of the way and then I'll go on my tirades.
Yeah, I gotta gush about Link Click again because I started watching season two. I know I caught up to where it is now, and I think the next episode comes out either today or tomorrow, something like that. Dude, this show, actually, low key, it might be top three for me, top five. Like, I think, yeah, this is definitely worth watching. Like, if you're interested in mystery, or thriller is probably like another genre kind of similar to that, like the suspense and cliffhangers from episode to episode. This is the show. Shows like Erased, or I guess ReZero to some extent in some arcs. Steins Gate, if you've seen that one. Shows like that. This show is like kind of like that, and oh my god, it's like so good. It's like I was watching it earlier this week, and like my heart was racing just because of how exciting it was. Um, just the music, the sound effects, everything. It's just done really well. Like that's all. That's all I got to say about without spoiling anything, without spending like 50 minutes talking about like every single detail. It is so good. It is worth watching. It is absolutely worth watching. So there you go. That's my thing.
Fair
Watch the
enough.
link click.
I'll just speed around the...
Yeah, I don't know if Daniel and I have anything more to say.
I don't have,
We had a
I don't have
full
anything to
conversation.
add.
Yeah, we had a full conversation about it last week, which is still fair to be like, yeah, season 2 popped off.
Yeah. Last week I'd finished season one, so this week just caught up to where where it's airing right now. So that's it.
Yeah.
I just watch it. Just whenever you get the chance, if you like those kinds of shows, this is worth watching. That's it.
All right.
Fair enough.
However, have gone on a spree recently.
He's gone on a journey.
So let's start with something I started watching after. I don't know if it was the same night or not. Maybe like a day after. Actually, I can see when I planned to watch. Okay, it was the night after we recorded last week. I started My Happy Marriage, another seasonal. So it's just like a shoujo romance. I've enjoyed it a lot though. It's pretty like standard like Cinderella story kind of thing, but there's some like there's like some different things with their world that makes it a little bit different. It's obviously set in like a more Japanese style thing, so I feel like it makes a bit more sense than maybe like Cinderella would have. I don't know. I've enjoyed it though. Pretty decent production quality from the same studio as Made in Abyss. Yeah, so My Happy Marriage, I've liked it. I have liked it. That's all I have to say on it right now because it's not finished. It's like we're 7 episodes in, so it is a nice romance. I don't regret adding it to my already way too long list of seasonals that I'm watching. But on to some non-seasonal stuff. I have completed. I'd already watched the first 2 seasons of the original Love Live, and I finally got around to just sitting down watching the movie. It was a finale. I'm done with the original Love Live, so that's cool. I don't know. It's like a fever dream kind of.
That's a good way to put it.
I don't know. I don't have much to say. God, my dog will not shut the fuck up. She knows we're recording. She doesn't make a single noise all day, and then she starts barking a fucking storm. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. It would have been a lot more realistic if when the 3 girls got accidentally dropped off in the New York City ghetto, that the movie should have ended there. It should have had a much darker turn when they got dropped off. Is it
actually set in New York City, or like you just
they go to they well not say it. They go to it for like part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, part of it's like going to New York because they got like the Love Live companies like, yeah, we want to have you all do a performance in the US or whatever because we want to make Love Live popular. We want to be able to have a dome performance in Japan, all this shit. And so they go over there as like fucking emissaries basically.
Yep.
And yeah, so like on their taxi rides, they're all getting like taxis from the airport to the hotel. But for some reason, they trusted Honoka to write down the hotel name. on the slips, and on one of them,
forget that they trusted Honoka to do that.
and on one of them,
that did happen.
yeah, it's like literally the last person you probably wanted to trust from the entire group. And she wrote the wrong hotel name on one of them, and 3 of the girls ended up getting taken to like some ghetto hotel in like the back alleys of New York, which it should have been done right there. It's over. Like the movie's done, but they made it out of that. So very unrealistic. Also, New Yorkers are extremely kind, and that also was very unrealistic.
That's also not realistic. Yep.
Yeah. So a pretty unrealistic movie overall. Not that I was ever particularly realistic to begin with, but yeah.
It's
oh, go ahead.
It's an experience. I think both of the major Love Live movies are just kind of like fun things more so than stories. So this, to me,
I mean, this was like a legitimate finale.
There is like important finale stuff in this, but also it's kind of just like tied in with what's something fun that we can do in the movie, in addition to the legitimate important closure to their story.
Yeah.
And the answer was go to New York. Question mark. Why was that the answer? Who knows?
So like the first few seasons, I feel like you mentioned this is just like the formation of the group, right? Like it just goes like or
no.
do they already have one? Or like,
so the first season is like, all right, so we have 3 people who are down with this, and they kind of start out, and then they slowly gather more people through series of like melodramatic encounters. And so by the first season they have their group together, and the second season is them like continuing their journey or whatever to try and win Love Live, and then the movie is like the finale of all that.
Gotcha.
And so anything following that is like, OG is like, Love Live isn't that like hyper, it's like generally popular, but it gets like giga popular in their universe after like they and another group pop off, and then, you know, all these other idol groups start coming up, etc., etc., which is kind of like the story of Love Live Sunshine, which I also started. Like I'm 5 episodes into that, or was it 6? I feel like I watched 6, but I don't know if I marked it down or not. Anyway, this is like, I want to say it's like 3 years after.
Does it say how long after it is?
It doesn't, but I can like generally. So in Sunshine, there's a character who gets into high school and she's like super into idols and stuff. But I think
it's the 5th Love Live.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Anyway, I'm pretty, based on my calculations, it was whatever.
Or 4 years actually.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was set well enough after the first whatever Love Live. So these people all kind of like look up to the original group, and it's basically the exact same story, except instead of in the city, they live in bumfuck nowhere, and they have to try and, I don't know how they're gonna save this school. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they played the same story but on hard mode. Is what it is.
Better in difficulty, because like I can suspend my disbelief for the first group being able to like attract enough people to their school because they live in the city. You're not gonna attract literally anyone to the countryside when there are like 10 quadrillion other idol groups out there. Like, you're like one of like 5,000 plus groups. You're telling me, even if they got to number 1, now literally anyone is gonna care enough to go out of their way to go to that school. Not a chance. And what makes it even harder is it's an all-girls school, so it's like you have
the last one was an all-girls school too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's still in the city.
I know it's still in the city. I just needed to, mention that.
It is.
That is the same.
Of course, that is the same. However, the location is so much different, and it's like so your pool is already cut in half, basically. Yeah, not exactly half, but you get the idea. And then that pool is cut down even smaller because people are going to go out of their way to go take a train to the middle of fucking nowhere to go to that school. I don't see how they're going to get it done, but they're going to because of the power of Love Live universe rules.
Right.
I don't
Is this the only, or is this the only idol anime you've seen, or I feel like there have been others, right? Or is this the first?
know. So I have some technicalities, I
Yeah, I
guess.
was gonna
Okay.
say.
Okay.
So
Aishino Code doesn't count, of course.
Technically, no.
technically,
He's seen others, but also
so
I don't count those.
Oshinoko has idol stuff in it. I wouldn't count that as an idol anime. Q is probably the closest thing. So Q is like voice actresses, but then it also focuses on like other things voice actresses do, and their company like makes them, or makes them, but they all form like their own idol groups within the company.
Oh, okay.
So the
And
only reason I would say Q is valid is because I believe it's idol based in the game. Like I think
Yeah,
the
that's what
game
it
is
looks like.
mostly idol work.
Idol training mobile game. Okay.
yeah, but
That's what it's
like
based off of, yeah.
yeah, I mean Q, there are a multitude of performances. It counts for sure.
Huh.
Trying to think of if I had anything else. Not that I can like think of off the top of my head. Premedal, they sing in it, but that's not really idols. Obviously, they're like robot,
Premedal.
weird time period.
Didn't watch any Bendoris, obviously. Didn't watch.
Should probably just look in advanced tags and just look for idol
Yeah,
specifically.
just go to idol tag.
Idol only show my anime. Yeah, no, from there's all this stuff like that has idols in it, but aren't actually idol anime.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just like tangentially related and not
Yeah.
exactly about.
On
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
a
Not even. Most
goofy
of them
level,
are just
Not
idol
even?
shows up.
like
Let's see if
the
I can find
Kizuna
that.
Eye anime was technically an idol anime.
I mean, I guess.
Do you really want to count that though?
I don't know.
I'll count it, but that
It's
doesn't
so
mean
funny. Bunny Girl Senpai shows up for Idol Tag. We've definitely talked about Idol Tag before, I think.
Yeah. Okay,
probably
so
in the music
PK,
episode.
PK,
What's up?
in Love Live compared to other idol anime, what sets it apart? Since you've seen a lot of them.
Love Live is purely set in a school setting, which sounds like it wouldn't be super original, but honestly, there's like a mix. I would say a lot of the idol anime I like are actually set in more like production settings, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So like Love Lives, it's a school club, right? But if I go talk about like IMAS or Idly Pride,
Mhm.
those are girls working for a production company. Even if
Okay.
it's the same age girls, it's I think Cinderella Girls is like has a variety, but they're all like roughly the same. The difference though is that Love Live, they basically are doing everything by themselves, and for stuff like IMAS, there's a studio behind it, people working with them and stuff like that. So there's different challenges for like the Love Live groups who usually start off with some like airhead who's like, I want to be an idol and doesn't even know how to make a song, to having good songs and good choreography and stuff, costumes, etc., etc. Whereas in IMAS would settle on like trying to do a lot more with the characters because they don't need to worry about that because the answer is just, we have people for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Love Live could be compared to Phineas and Ferb because I don't understand where they one get all their fun. I guess like School Club, how are they getting that much funding though for some of the stuff that they're pulling off? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just goofy.
I mean, wait. So I say wait till you see Nijigasaki, but the school in Nijigasaki is fucking loaded. So maybe not. I think the Nijigasaki school just actually has money.
Yeah, if that's like
Uh,
the exception to the oh no, our school shutting down plot rule.
Pretty much. Nijigasaki is so funny. It's so different from Sunshine and OG. Anyway,
If if Love Live is the Phineas and Ferb, who's Perry the Platypus? Who's the Perry the Platypus of Love Live?
Fuck, I don't know. Literally no one. There's no
Yeah.
problems to go solve.
That's the only character I remember from Phineas and Ferb.
Everything magically solves itself in the Love Live universe.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You just have to talk to people enough, and then every problem is solved.
Okay, makes sense. Love Live has a gacha game too, as well, right? Or like Am I trolling?
Yes, it has a brand new gotcha game actually.
Brand new one. Okay.
Because the original Love Live School Idol Project game shut down, and now they
Oh, okay.
have School Idol Project 2, which is basically, I think the reason they shut it down wasn't because it was doing bad necessarily. I think it was just they wanted to like have a new, more modern feeling game.
Hmm.
But now they
Okay.
have Love Live School Idol Festival 2,
Two. Oh,
Miracle Live,
okay.
full name. Um, I haven't played it. I've seen it some. I've played a decent amount of rhythm games, and this one visually just doesn't look that appealing to me. Let me see if I can find.
Is it just very different from the original one, like in terms of visuals? I'm looking at the trailer and stuff.
So yeah, so it's similar to the original in terms of gameplay and visuals. Just it's kind of updated. The problem is I've played other rhythm games that have like more defined lane systems that I just find more interesting. Whereas in this one, it has, you can see the picture I posted. It has like a semicircle of girls, and then lanes will approach each girl, and so you have these nine
Oh,
like,
it's like not even like lined up. It's like
yeah,
okay,
it's in
it's
this,
whack.
it's in this little circle, and it's different, and that's fine. But when I compare that to like um Sakai, let
I
me
mean,
get a
most of them are
picture
just
of
in a
Project
line, right?
Sakai.
Like you just have to like
Yeah,
yeah, I
like
mean yeah,
Project
like
Sakai is
Guitar
in
Hero
line,
basically.
and
Yeah, same thing.
there's a bunch of things it'll do, multiple notes,
Of
flicks,
course,
stuff
of
like
course. Yeah,
that.
yeah. Just like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's hard to really say which one's more difficult, but just visually, I don't like
Yeah, being outward
the
would
Love
be like a
Live.
little bit weird, like in the semicircle formation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of like rhythm games, it's really random, but I was thinking of it since you mentioned rhythm games. Did you guys ever play the Donkey Kong, the bongos for the GameCube? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I did not play
Yes.
that,
Oh my
no.
gosh, I remember that. That was fire.
Like,
That
the
was
only
fire.
like GameCube game I can ever remember playing was SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Dude, that's the goat. It's the
I
goat.
mean,
But
understandable.
yeah, yeah, the Donkey Konga, you got like
Donkey Kong
these
bongos
bongo
are funny.
controllers that you could attach to the GameCube. It was cool.
I
But
feel like there was
that's
something else I played too. Like I rented it at Family Video one time, but I literally just don't remember what it is. Oh my god. I don't think the world could handle
Anyway,
that much emu.
no shot. Um, but yeah,
that makes sense.
what were we talking about? Idol anime. What sets
Idle
it
anime, yeah.
apart?
We were
What
talking
sets them
about
apart?
me
Yeah,
going through Love Live and stuff. I guess
Love Live's just like somehow a unique feeling experience.
yeah, I'm just
I
here
don't
so
really
I
know
can
how
have like a full tier list at the end because I feel like that's what the real journey is determining which of these
having a tier
characters I
list at the
hate
end.
less than others.
So okay, do
Yeah,
you hate all of them or what? Like
No, I don't hate all of them.
no, okay.
you've been seeing us post our tier lists as we progressively finish. Um, Earlier today, a few of us did a bunch of tier lists. Like I did my full Love Live tier list. Did Bendori again for the 10th time. The Idly Pride tier list. We just went through a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'm too early into Sunshine to definitively say
Yeah.
anything. I don't know.
You're episode 6? Episode 5?
I definitely finished 5. I might have done 6 and forgotten about it. We'll see.
Yeah, you like probably just met Yohane. I'm assuming.
I remember doing her episode.
Yeah, you. I don't want to say you haven't had any story arcs yet, but you haven't hit like the what I would consider the good story arcs.
Yeah, right now we're in the character collection phase for the group.
Yeah, which Sunshine spends a lot of time character collecting.
Yeah, like
Um,
halfway in, we still have 3 more people to add into this group. So
yeah, it's a journey. Sunshine's fun. I mean, there's a reason why I think Sunshine might be my personal favorite Love Live
So do the other
story.
shows go into like other groups, right? Like it sounds like it's like
Yes.
a tournament or something, basically.
Yeah, the Love Live is basically a big idol tournament.
Yeah, okay, that
Go
makes
do
sense.
a
Yeah.
show, X amount of teams that score the highest move on, etc., etc. Up until the final, I think it's 10 or 8 groups. One of those two compete in the big Love Live competition.
Right. Okay. And like you mentioned, some of them are or like the seasons are like one of them was like 3 years into the future or something like that. So it's just like a
Yeah.
regular thing that
And then
happens. It's
there's
just like follows one team. Yeah,
and then
essentially.
there's Nijigasaki. Nobody knows when the fuck Nijigasaki happened.
Okay, but it's
We
not
don't even know. We don't
yeah.
even know if it's in the same universe.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, it probably is because the Love Live exists, but
It's
Nijigasaki
probably
is
farther in the future, just based on some of the technology we see these people using.
that is true. Um, Superstar is even farther in the future than Sunshine. I think that's an undisclosed amount, but it's definitely in the same universe as Sunshine. I mean, Nijigasaki probably is too. Superstar is probably the best Love Live story. I just don't. I don't like the characters as much as Sunshine and Nijigasaki. They're still good.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
And
Yeah.
my last thing here, while we're still on the topic of musical endeavors, I completed the first season of Hibike Euphonium.
Dumb.
How was it?
It was good. I give it a solid
Just good?
7.5 for the first season.
Oh my god.
I think it definitely
7.5.
I think
has.
that's. I
I,
think that's fair.
I think it has definitely more room to grow and be like really good. It'll probably get better as it goes on.
I think for me, I might have given it roughly the same. Look at the Hibike.
It's like you gave it an 80 something. But yeah, I mean it's roughly the same, yeah. I guess it depends on your scale.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
an
PK
80
scale
from
versus
me.
Daniel scale is
So
probably
compared
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
my
I think
average is like a 90 something, so yeah, it's the scales are
I
different.
had yeah, I had 2 slightly higher than it, but he became good.
yeah.
He'll probably
There's
at
two
this rate
seasons in a
be caught
movie,
up with
right?
it, but there's just 2 seasons. Oh wait, no, there
There's
is
2
right
seasons. The
I feel like you
movie,
mentioned
the
that, yeah.
OVA just came
a
out,
recap
Okay. Oh
movie.
yeah.
and
Do
then
we have
season
the OVA
3.
yet in translation? I don't think we
I
do.
feel like I've seen
Oh, you
people
mentioned that
watch
it's
it,
gonna take a
probably
while,
fan
right? Yeah.
subbed if anything, but
If we do, I need to watch that soon.
uh,
I always forget that the movie exists. Not because the movie's great, but the movie is like just a continuation of the story. And I'm so used to these music anime making the movies just be like bullshit.
so is it this? Okay, a date aired August 3rd. It looks as if
Yeah.
it's on a specific website. That I won't
Okay.
disclose.
I'll find it.
But yeah, it seems to exist.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Good to know. I will watch that later probably.
Yeah, I definitely
Um
think music anime is something I should watch more. I feel like I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, but man,
yeah,
like especially after Bochi, I really like
yeah,
Bochi so much that like
since we're talking about music anime,
yeah.
I watched the newest episode of My Go today, which is the new Bandori series that's airing.
Okay.
And today's episode was phenomenal. Like
Why?
I need a little more. It was just very, emotional and like
Gotcha.
good song, good music, and it like tied up there throughout the season of My Go. There's been so much drama set and so many things built up to, and it's a kind of depressing anime compared to how like happy-go-lucky all the other Bantori shows are. This one is like a way harsher story, and so they build all that up, and then episode 10 is essentially like the emotional climax of all of this shit that's been built up, and they just like knocked it out of the park.
Mhm.
And
So this is about the new band that's being created, right?
yes,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
so this actually has very little to do with any of the rest of the Bandori franchise. There's a few cameos, most notably
Yeah,
Saya
that's what I
shows
was
up
seeing
in
with
it.
characters. Yeah.
Saya shows up in it a lot, which is super important because Saya is best girl. But
Mocha.
um,
I remember this one.
Mocha shows up. I
Happy,
think
but yeah.
someone else shows up. There's probably a few others that show
Yeah,
up. Anyway, 95% of the show is just a band in the Bandora universe that's not really particularly related to previous content.
right.
But
But
yeah,
most of the other like shows they feature like all of the bands, right? Like
yes,
all the current ones.
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or like some mixture. So like season 2 of Bandori pretty much featured all the bands that had been out at the time.
Mhm.
But then season 3 kind of featured all the bands, but mostly just focused on a couple like important ones for that story. Because
Mhm.
season 2 was kind of the slice of lifey. Um, starts off the first couple episodes just having fun with some of the bands, and then goes on a pretty solid story arc to set up season 3 stuff in the second half.
Are the seasons like, or I guess like the first three seasons, is it still from the perspective of like Popping Party's like the main one, right? Like, is it still from their perspective, or is it like, is there an equal amount given to all of the other bands, like equal attention, I guess?
Season 2 is kind of questionable. It's closer to equal, but I'd still probably say through all 3 seasons, Poppin' Party is like
Yeah, that's what I
the
figured.
main
They were like the
group.
most prominent one. Yeah, yeah,
Um, especially season 3. Season 3 gives pretty equal coverage to all the groups, but it still kind of feels like you're following Poppin' Party as like the main group.
yeah. Makes sense.
I
So
think it's just easier probably to write those stories from a group's perspective anyway, and the
sure,
ones
yeah,
that they've adapted happen to be the Poppin' Party ones because Poppin' Party is kind of the main group for the game too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. That's what I figured. That's what I figured was the
Yeah,
case. I mean, just like from their perspective, but yeah, it makes sense.
I would say
So is
other
this?
content's pretty easily like spread out. The
Yeah.
movies will focus on their particular band. There's Rosalia movies or Phonica movies. There's a Poppin' Party movie, of course. Stuff like that.
Mhm. So this group, or like the MyGo, they already have like they've already like made songs for that group and stuff, right? It seems like it, like the
Yes,
browsing YouTube and stuff, right? Okay,
they
gotcha.
do
Gotcha.
have songs already.
Are they in the
They've
game yet,
done
or no?
they are the characters are not in the game. They have a few songs that are in the game. I
Oh,
think
okay.
right now people don't really know um the relationship of the characters in the games currently. It kind of feels like they might get added to the games, but also they're kind of just chilling. There's also another Bandori group that almost nothing is known about that is also going to be created off of this Myco series.
Mhm.
Um, they've already released a song. Maybe I actually think a couple songs. They had like a Zeroth concert a couple months ago, and they have their first concert in January. Myco's done a few concerts already. I think they have one literally this month, even this week.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's a looks like there's a preview for your music video, so that they're still regularly releasing songs, I guess, to promote the anime as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had
that
a
makes sense.
concert on August 12th,
Oh, okay.
so
Are
a
there
couple days ago.
so this isn't like a separate school, right, from the other groups?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they go to separate schools.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think. I don't remember all of the school uniforms particularly well,
Yeah, I
and
don't
that would be
remember
the
the
only thing
lore,
I
but
would be
like,
going off of. I think it's separate schools, but it could be the same schools. I know some of them are same schools,
oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
because some of the members of my go to the same school as Afterglow.
Okay,
That's
right,
been
right, right.
said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I
Uh,
was browsing the character things, that makes sense. Is Haneoka or something?
yeah,
Haneoka
but
Academy? Yeah.
In Ben Dory, there already are 2 schools for the old groups, and there's
Mhm.
2 schools for this group also. Um, so it's kind of hard to keep track of. Not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
schools aren't. They are high school students in this, but the schools are not important to Bandori.
Not part of
The
the
most
story. Okay.
important thing about the schools is knowing that some girls go to one school and some go to the other, and that is why like they know each other.
Gotcha. They don't have competitions between the schools or anything like that?
No.
No,
The bands are like
not like
they're
Love
just
Live.
bands. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they're just bands.
yeah,
There
yeah, makes
can
sense.
be competitions in the show,
Sure,
but
sure,
they
sure.
would be like random band competitions that just
Yeah,
exist.
no,
Same
no,
same
no
as
clan wars, no clan wars. Okay.
yeah, it's the same as Bochi. Bochi, they're not like a school band or
Yeah, of course,
anything.
of
They're
course.
just a
Okay, that
band.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. It's not affiliated with the school. They just go to the school. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway,
Yeah. Very cool.
Maigo's great. I don't know that I would recommend it to people as like a starting point to Bandori, but I do think it is like very possible to watch this without having watched the previous Bandoris. I just think this is such a different vibe to a lot of the other stuff that if you watch this and then tried to watch the first season of Bandori, which is kind of rough, um, the difference would be huge.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I did check, and I did watch episode 6 of Love Live, which I can't believe I forgot because it did the most realistic thing that I've seen in any of the Love Lives. And that was that they accidentally looted Ruby and jumped 4,000 spots in the ranking.
That is true. They did accidentally loot Ruby and jump a bunch of spots in the ranking.
It was honestly impressive, and I mean, that's how you get to number 1 right there. They just gotta keep going down that route. Do it consistently.
I try to forget that they do that because it's such like an accidental thing, but it's also just cringe
Yeah,
in like a funny way. But
the only reference real ever gets to like the actual fandom of idols, or at least like the majority. Because I guess
I'm
like
excited for
in Love
Daniel
Live,
to
it's
watch. Yeah,
mostly like all. It's like, oh yes, of course, their fan base is all high school girls. Surely no one else. And then they one moment of looting increases their rank from like almost 5,000 to top 1,000. Very funny.
yep. I'm excited for Daniel to watch a couple episodes ahead so he can meet the best Love Live group musically in the entire franchise.
Isn't it
I'll say
like
it.
fucking something to do with snow? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it's Saint
Saint
Snow,
Saint Snow. I see.
which is the I don't think it's a spoiler to say, not that you care. It's the rival group for Sunshine,
I see.
and that's what I'll tell you about them. Anyway, Saint Snow is great. I love their songs, and they also have good characters. I think Sarah, the older of the two members of Saint Snow, is probably I've ranked her as my fourth favorite Love Live girl. I think that sounds right.
They truly
How
count
many
towards
how
these
many
tier
Love Live
lists.
girls are there total? Like between I mean I shouldn't say total, but
Uh,
like main character, like
A lot.
prominent characters.
I have so many per group.
3, 6, 9,
Yeah, there's
12,
9 in the original one, right? Yeah.
15, 16, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 54.
54 total. Holy.
That's including a few that are like brand new to the series and only in the games. So it's probably
Gotcha.
closer to like 48, 49-ish.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's also including groups like A-Rise, who Daniel, you watched OG more recently than I have, obviously. Does A-Rise like do anything?
Arise has like 2 performances maybe ever,
Yeah,
and then
that that's
that's
what I
all I ever
thought. They
see.
have some performances and their songs are solid, but I don't remember them like character-wise doing anything other than just
Um,
existing as like
I mean, they
the
helped
OP
a
group.
bit in the movie with like the
Yeah,
big thing, and then it was revealed that they went pro or whatever, which is like the first mention we've seen of like, or at least I've seen of any of these groups actually going like professional, because they got like a management group or whatever to keep doing it.
yep, yep.
But other than that, they didn't really do anything. Especially in the series, like fucking season 1, they were like they like did a performance, if even, and then
Yeah.
they might have talked like one time,
Yeah.
and
I
then
don't remember them being like noteworthy as characters.
yeah, not particularly,
Okay.
not particularly at all.
I don't have too much myself personally to talk about because I've had a busy week of not
I've had a
watching
busy week,
anything
but I think
apparently.
one I guess like additional in addition to like the music anime that we were talking about, which I guess like idol groups obviously is like a very popular concept. Then I guess bands is like another like kind of popular thing. Like there's K-On, right? Like that's another show
Yeah.
about like forming a band and stuff like that. Which I guess not only the genre of music, but I guess like people coming together to form like a group is like that can like make a story, right? Like that's a very easy like I don't want to say plot
Yeah.
device. I don't know what you want to call it. Like it's just easy to make a
I
story
mean,
when
it's
like the
yeah,
camaraderie, right? Like yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's every show does that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if
And this
there's
is
like
just
an
like another.
individual like um show focused on like the individual performance, I guess, of like music
I mean,
or singing or anything. Yeah.
Carol and Tuesday is just a duo, and it's like
Oh,
really
duo. Okay, yeah.
focused
That's
on the music stuff. So, like
mhm.
off the bat, I think of Carol and Tuesday. I haven't watched Nana, but I feel like that's also something that is probably more focused on individuals and music and stuff like that, and less focused on like
Yeah,
camaraderie
I
and
guess more like individual performers. Like I don't know, like just like one dude who's like a I don't know piano player. I guess. I guess like
A Year Lie in
trying to think.
April.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one I was thinking
Kivyuso,
of. Yeah.
Kivyuso kind of. Uh, let me see. Let me go through stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going through these. I mean, I understand why group shows
I
shows with
also
groups
just
and
think
bands.
like
Yeah, it's
more
easier.
characters appeal to more people
Of course.
generally.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I just
I would say probably the closest to me to what you're talking about is Carol and Tuesday,
uh-huh.
even though it's obviously two people.
Yeah.
We'll make an exception and say two is still small
Yeah, it's still
enough
better than 9
compared
or
to
not better,
10.
but whatever, it's
Yeah.
lower, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
To do
that's the
that.
closest example I notice here that I can speak on. I'm sure there's something here
The
that
story
I
happens on
haven't
Mars.
seen.
What the heck? The
Carol and
Carol and
Tuesday?
Tuesday, it
Yeah.
happens on yeah, it's just
Carol and Tuesday is wild.
okay, what the heck? That's kind of crazy. Oh, it's about AI and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah, fair enough.
is a funny joke. You say fucking Kong Ming. It's technically about the individual,
I mean,
much less
Sure,
focus
yeah.
on the
technically, yes.
music.
Technically, Kongming is entirely focused on Aiko. That is in terms of music.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. I
I
was just
don't.
curious.
Yeah.
I played piano for like basically my entire from elementary school to high school, and I always had like piano recital. So that was just like one of the memories I've had of like music performance, I guess. So
Hmm.
I don't know, just
Piano would
figured.
probably be the one. I haven't watched a lot of
Yeah,
piano,
like
and
individual
it's
performance of music. I guess the more I think about it, the like less common it is. Aside from like solo, like vocal artists, right? Like Taylor Swift, whatever, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, are there any other like well, PK, I know you've seen like quite a few music anime. Are there like any others you'd recommend aside from like the idol ones and like you said Hibiki Euphonium? I guess you guys have both seen that now, but
Given is pretty good. I've only watched a couple
I've heard that
episodes,
one. I've heard that
but
one's really good.
Given has been really nice in the couple episodes I've watched. Haven't watched much in a while, so that's kind of on the back burner currently. But
I
I
don't
will
remember if this is
continue
on
that.
Netflix or not, but I feel like I've seen this or like seen this on Netflix and just never
I've
got
talked
around to
about
watching.
Review Starlight a lot, so anyone who's listened to previous podcasts knows I really like Review Starlight,
Yeah,
as does a lot of our friend group. I can't speak to it too much because I don't think it's out yet, but I'm really excited about the Blue Giant movie.
Giant.
Let me link that for you so you can see
I
this.
know I've seen the promotional material for it, but
I'm really
It's about
excited.
jazz. Oh, okay, this is kind of
Yeah,
based. Hold up, hold
I'm
up.
really excited to watch that. It's
Wait,
obviously different because this isn't a recommendation as much as it's like this is something that exists, and
so it said
I
February
really want to
17th,
see it.
2023. So what
Yes,
happened? Got delayed or what?
translation.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Translation,
so it's
release,
already out.
stuff
It's
like
just
that.
like,
Yes,
yeah,
it
transition.
it has aired in Japanese theaters. It's probably aired um by now with translations. I just haven't seen it / have
Right.
the time to go find it.
Okay, it's based on a manga. So it went from manga to movie. That's I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen that very often. Like,
Yeah.
No, I mean, you'll see
It
it.
depends.
Looking on alternative websites, I don't see it yet, so I guess it doesn't have anything.
yeah.
But like for movies going from manga to movie, like Silent Voice did it.
Okay, true. Yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing. It's definitely, you'll see it less, I suppose. You'll definitely see it less when like just getting it all over in like one go. Like,
Your name was also a manga based off a manga, right?
I don't think no.
What?
No,
I'm
okay.
pretty
Yeah,
confident
There
your
is
name
no, that's
is
original. That's original.
and
Yeah.
then it was adapted into a manga probably.
Right. Yeah. It was okay. I saw the same release date, which
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, that makes no sense. Yeah.
Like
No, no, no. Okay.
I do want to read Silent Voice because I've only seen one screenshot of a pretty big difference from like manga to movie, and it makes me much more interested in like going back and reading the source material and getting a much it seems like it would be a much different experience. It's not very long either.
Mhm.
Yeah, like 64 chapters. Like could definitely cause like there's people out there who like hate the movie. I think it's just they hate that it changed from like the source material more than
Yeah.
hate. I think the movie works extremely well on its own. Like if I read
Your name.
if I read the manga and think it's better, I'm just gonna think the manga is better. I'm not gonna like
Oh,
hate the movie for it. No, yeah, not your
yeah.
name.
Silent Voice.
Yeah, Silent Voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I don't know. I like Silent Voice, but I have no point of reference. It's always like, yeah. Whenever anything gets adapted, you'll always have people complaining that it's not like
Mhm.
the source material. But whatever. The Harry Potter movies are good, independent of what the book, how much it, diverge from the book. Like, they're just good. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But I
I
get
don't
it. I get
support.
it. I understand like why people complain because it's like the first thing they've experienced, right? But I mean, I don't know. I was like, if that's my only point of reference, if I've only seen the movie and it's good, it's good. I don't care. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to go
the
back and see
product
what
can
it is.
stand on its own, then I don't think it's as much of an issue.
Yeah,
Like obviously, if it's change it's made and it's like if like the work suffers for it, then yes, I think it's valid
yeah,
to
but you'd be able to
criticize.
notice that by noting that it's like bad or like you know
Yeah,
not
like
good. Like
if the film itself is not good, then yes, I think
yeah, exactly.
it should be easy enough to criticize why it's not, as opposed to like
Yes,
rather than like it's not what I know and therefore entirely
exactly.
bad, because it does still work on its own, even if it is changed. I mean, like the change I saw seemed pretty significant, like in terms of just how things are framed for a certain character, but I will discover that eventually when I do read it.
Mhm.
It definitely does
Yeah.
interest me though to, because all this time like I knew it was different, but I'm like, how different could it possibly be? Pretty different, I guess, is what the answer is. But it's how
It's
it
kind of
is with
fun
a lot of
sometimes to be
adaptations.
on the anime side of the whole adaptation is different conversation. I mean, this is how it was for me the whole time with Redacted, and you guys, you guys talking about the novels being so different in the pacing and everything,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah,
like, it's still like pretty good to me. Clueless and
sure.
OG.
Yeah, me by the end of that, just absolute pain. Holy shit. Um, it's gonna have an event soon. If they announce, it's gonna be like the most disappointing season 2 announcement of all time if it actually does that. Like, oh my god, I do not, man. Because fuck, if Angel Next Door does get a season 2, I'm going to. It's gonna go beyond what I
But what if?
have novel wise, which would be extremely
Oh,
annoying.
okay. I was gonna say, what if they like slow it down and actually adapt
Man, I don't give a. They
the
already
season
ruined
2
season 1. I
content?
don't give a fuck.
It's too
That's
far gone.
fair.
It's too far
It's
gone.
too far gone. It's actually, well, I don't know. If season 2 does like do it well, then I'll rate it differently. But the season 1 is forever a stain on my opinion.
You're gonna watch it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I'm
We'll
gonna
see what
watch it
He
because
has to
I'm
watch it
yeah.
anyway.
According to my doctrine of not dropping shows, I have to watch
Yeah.
it. Which like society, if I didn't carry that between seasons, but I do, so it would
Yeah,
definitely
Orient's
benefit me to
pretty
not do
soon.
that. Yeah, right after Rent a Girlfriend season 4.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but that one's real.
That one probably will be real. Dude, they have...
That's what I'm saying.
I don't understand how
I'm
they keep
convinced Rent a
pumping these
Girlfriend
out.
is gonna get the fastest. I'm convinced it's gonna have the fastest full adaptation ever seen.
It honest to God might. It started in 2020. It's 2023 and we have 3 fucking seasons of it. How do they keep getting this done? They're like actually speed running. Like, I understand.
Speedrunning?
I understand.
The demand has
Yeah.
to be high. Like
Well,
there has to be like a group of people that are just like dedicated to watching it. Like they wouldn't do this if nobody was watching it.
I mean, it's literally insane how, like, in this studio,
Like Attack on Titan takes 5 years to get one season done in the time it takes Rent a Girlfriend to do it.
I understand it's not
entire-
like, what's it called? It's not like a heavyweight, like, animation type of thing, but holy shit, I mean, like, surely we
They
can
crank them
slow
out.
down a little bit. Yeah, they literally
Sure.
keep cranking them. Like, they had, the only time there has not been Rent-A-Girlfriend released was fucking 2021. That's because 2020 was it was fall season when they released Rent-A-Girlfriend season 1. So it was like at the very tail end of 2020, and then they start 2022. Not even start. It was fucking summer, and then they hit it with summer again. It took 1 year difference to create another season of Rent-A-Girlfriend. It's literally insane. I don't know.
I just don't know how they keep doing it.
Horny motherfuckers will never die down. They have to have a big, like, TMS Entertainment got to be a big studio because they're ones doing Dr. Stone and all this other shit. Like, it's not like a small studio doing it, but still, like, how many resources are they dedicating to Rent-A-Girlfriend? Probably a lot, and it's probably making a lot of money. But I don't know. They're probably getting help, like, on the producer side of things, maybe. Kind of like how Bug Films is getting help from Shaft. But I don't know.
Rent a Girlfriend can crank out all these seasons. Where's my Awashi season 2?
Yeah, but Aoyashi was 2 cores and actually good, compared to Rent-A-Girlfriend, which...
Bro, I caught up on the last like 10 chapters I had in backlog on Awashi a couple days ago. It was so good.
Yeah, I would not complain about a season 2. I'd actually be excited for a season 2.
I think if I remember right, season 2 would adapt some pretty good stuff.
I would hope.
I'm trying to remember the timeline. There's fucking 340 chapters of Awashi. For context, season 1 covered 118 or 117.
I see.
So there's a lot of content
So
to get
basically
through.
2 more seasons, right? Equivalent of 2 more.
Depends
Yeah,
on,
so
like, if
there's
a
at least 2
2-core,
more
you know...
seasons of content.
Sure.
I think there would probably be a movie in there. The way that trends go, and also the way that the arcs line up, I feel like I would actually make a movie for Awashi at a specific arc. Classic.
Let's see. I mean, it's the only sports anime I've watched, like actual sports anime. My borderlines don't really count. Like, realistically, Awashi, Blue Lock are the only 2 I've watched, and I liked Awashi, not so much Blue Lock, so I wouldn't complain about season 2.
You liked the one that was more closer to realistic.
Yes.
Aside from the obvious thing. But that's also like that's manga melodrama. But like people can't do that, but people can get pretty close to it in real life.
I only ever really had, like, there are 2 moments in Awashi where I, like, kind of just stared dumbfounded. Or not even, like, one of them is the goalie never fucking does anything, which, the same thing with Blue Lock. I don't even know why he's there. Why even show the goalie? Why even make them a character if they're not going to do anything? But, the other was, I'm not going to give any specifics, but there was a ball that was about to go out of bounds. That should literally, I can understand saving it. The dude saved the ball, and then from the position he was in, there's no fucking chance that motherfucker was going to be able to land on the ground, he, like, broke his ankle basically to fucking get the ball the correct angle anyway, but he somehow gets the ball inbound, or keeps the ball inbound, saves it, lands, turns around, runs all the way to where the fucking goal is, fucking sign that man to an NFL team, because he's going to blaze past every cornerback in the league, and then I'm pretty sure he scored it, and I'm like, what in the literal fuck just happened? There's no way he should be in blue lock. Fuck all the other people. He just literally defied everything physically possible through like human existence. I don't know. It was dumb.
Yeah. I will say there's eventually better goalie play in Awashi, but
Good.
you're
Wow,
watching
please.
minors right now. I don't even know who the goalie is for the team that they're currently on in the anime.
Neither do I. I don't remember him anyway. I'm sure maybe if I look through like the character list here, they're probably not even relevant enough to be on
I'm
here.
looking through the character list, and I don't know who would be currently playing goalie.
Yeah, I don't think they're on here, even if they are. Like, yeah, no. I don't think there's enough characters on this character list to actually have the goalie on there. That's how irrelevant they are.
Yeah, there are goalie. There is like a major goalie, later in the series, but
Yeah, it's looking like the anime. I don't see it. Yeah, there. I have hope. I have Cope for medalist. That'll be my second good sports anime experience.
IQ's
Yeah. Well, if I watch 1 second of not 1 second. If I complete 1 episode of Haikyuu, I gotta watch 4 seasons of that shit, and so that's a dedication to deal with later.
So he's currently
So you're putting it off
for the
because
moment.
it'll be a commitment. Okay, fine.
That would in fact be a commitment that I'm not ready for right now.
Fair enough. Oh, one thing, I guess not going back to Linked Click, but one thing that I really liked about the show, and this is a question, I guess without spoiling it, there's a scene with, I guess trigger warning here with domestic abuse, and I think the way they portrayed that scene, like the reality of it, was really was something that I had not seen as much in anime. Um, Actually, at all. I mean, I'm sure it exists in other shows, but I think the way they showed it was like really. I don't want to say like realistic, but it felt realistic, and like they showed it in the context of like a neighbor, their apartment neighbor like hearing things, and like that's very realistic. Could be happening just around us. Like you never know, right? And I think these like hard to tackle subjects is something that feels like it. I know why it doesn't happen in anime. Number one, they might just want to avoid it, which makes sense. There's you can avoid some controversy and things like that. But number two, I mean, anime, like a lot of them are just like pretty chill and happy, and they don't really delve deep into like the realities of life, which is fair. It's for a lot of people, it's an escape from life. But do you guys think there's like an example? Do you guys have like any examples of like doesn't have necessarily have to be the same thing, but like times in anime where you felt like they did a really good job of like portraying the reality of like some unpleasant things that might happen in real life? Because I thought they did an excellent job of that in that show, in the context of the story as well.
Man, he always asks us these questions unprompted.
I know.
Now I have to go.
You can save it. If you don't have an answer now, we can talk about it next episode. But that was something that popped in my head.
I just think it's funny because you ask these questions, and then it's like, I have like the short answer is yes. There are examples.
If you guys need to think about it, that's fine. But I think that was just something that popped into me that some other animes have not done, and I think that was just something I like loved about the show is like the way they portrayed the reality and like the emotions and everything. It's just that was just another reason why I love the show.
Yeah, I guess to derail us, and so we can come back to this question at a time in which we have an answer prepared.
Yeah.
I like lightly related with the idea of like sensitive subject matter in media. My timeline has been I muted One Piece in Gear 5. Thank fuck. That was a great decision by me. Didn't matter because honestly, now Mushoku Tensei is returned back to controversy phase, and then now that's all over my timeline. But I actually watched this shit. Yes. Did you watch the latest episode?
I have not watched. I did not know that it has come back to controversy.
Yeah, for a different reason this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did not watch episode 7, right? Or did you? No. Okay. It has to do with that. Granted, Penguin spoiled you on it. Doesn't matter. Or on like what the controversy would be.
Yes, you're right. I do know what you're talking about because I remember him spoiling me on that because you posted a message with spoiler tag on it, and then he just raw answers it in a way that basically tells me exactly what was in the spoiler tag.
Yeah, but basically, Mushoku Tensei Season 2, there is an Isekai Classical slave purchase made, and so that has sparked debate on Twitter, because of course it did. And it's interesting to see, like, takes on both sides. It's like, there's never been, like, good discussion that I've seen from it. It's just everyone being like, either like get over it, or like, no, you don't understand, like, this is awful and you're a bad person if you try and defend it, like, etc., etc. So I guess, what is your opinion on sensitive subject matter within media? Because, like, I mean, it's like a big range of shit, but
Personally, obviously it's a slippery slope and you have to be careful with it. But
Yes.
I do think that stories should be willing to approach sensitive stuff, especially if it's with good intentions, or at least like intentions that are innately positive. I guess how I would describe it. So like Spatula's example with link click is interesting because it's a sensitive topic that's being approached, but it's being done in a way that's almost jarring and like makes the person watching like really think about like, oh, that's like a thing that could happen.
Dude, my heart was going crazy. Like it was
Yeah.
scary.
Um Obviously the Isekai classic slave purchase varies from series to series. It's not always something done in good faith. Um as like a counter example, but I do think that like generally the media shouldn't be afraid to approach sensitive topics. I just
Yeah,
think it should also be aware of the fact that those topics need to be approached very carefully.
yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
it's kind of
It's very easy to like make light of the situation or just like completely misrepresent it in some cases. So I get why
Yes.
it's avoided in a lot of cases. I think um and I think obviously it like I think what made that scene so good um was that I mean it just fit into the story very well. Like it wasn't just doing something crazy just to showing something crazy just to like show it, you know? It wasn't like for the it was for the shock factor, but like in the again in like the context of the story, right? Um and just being able to use those kinds of situations to kind of elicit emotions from the viewer, as well as like also um what makes it like very effective. And I think they did a great job with that. But yeah, I agree. It's hard, and I mean I understand why you know companies and writers and all those people involved tend to avoid it. I don't like, blame them necessarily, but yeah, I agree. I would like
It's
to see
also
more
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
It's also sometimes obviously it's not the role of random anime that you're watching or any form of media
Yep. Of
to like teach you things, but at the same
course.
time I do think that there's a lot of opportunity in media to like, you
educate.
know, educate. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great way to put it. To educate people on things that they might not necessarily know about or think about or just, you know, be ignorant of because it's not something at the forefront of their life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm probably with whatever Twitter wars are going on with Mishoku, I'm probably somewhere in between, mostly because I haven't watched it, where it's like it's a sensitive subject. I kind of cringe every time I watch like an isekai and it goes into its like random slave purchase under the guise of like, oh, well, we're saving the slave from their
Yeah. That
horrible life.
stuff's kind of whack.
Um, I don't particularly like the way it's framed a lot of the time, but at the same time, it's something that would exist in those types of worlds. So I
True.
also feel like I can't really fault the author for it existing. And so my thing would just be like, I don't mind it happening, but be careful.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the education thing, it's not even like I was quote unquote educated on like domestic violence. It's just like how do I say it? It's like that's just like part of, unfortunately, very unfortunately, it's just kind of like part of some people's lives, I guess. Like I don't know how else to say it, but it's like you're educating by like showing the reality, I guess. That's like the best way I could put it. It's like you're not actually like educating. It's just like this is just like unfortunately a part of reality for some people. So that's yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. And yeah, that was the thing from like the most recent episodes. So that I really liked, and I think yeah, media could definitely go into it more. I think I don't know about like anime versus Western media, like how those subjects are approached differently necessarily, but
Western
um,
media is too edgy about that shit most of the
maybe
time.
yeah, maybe yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the things that came out of this, like people started to turn it on the author and be like, "Oh, there was a slave purchase made in Mishoku Tensei. That must mean you endorse slavery." And
Right.
Yeah,
you had to make a whole
that's a
apology
classic.
for that. And it's like, what are we doing? Because I don't know, there's just so much goofiness with that. I do agree that like if you're gonna have, I think sensitive material should be more than fine to have.
Right.
I feel like I don't know if I've made this argument on here or not, or if it was just a shower thought, but
Mhm.
I feel like the term glorification gets overused a considerable amount. But
Yes.
I feel like
Mhm.
whenever it's used correctly is when you start to have like more of an issue. Like Redo of Healer, for example, is a glorification of the
Absolutely.
bad
Yeah.
things that happen in there because you're following this main character's like quest for revenge. And it's not like he faces consequences or anything for the shit that he does. He just does horrible shit, and it's like his retribution or whatever. And it's like I understand it's a revenge story, and like he had bad shit done to him. That doesn't make any of this like any better. Like the presentation is still absolutely fucking awful. Do I think it shouldn't exist? No. Do I think it's good? No. I think it's fair to criticize it. No, I don't think it should be removed from existence or anything. But I feel like there's always like, oh, they shouldn't. I feel like Goblin Slayer was an interesting discourse because it has something very like sensitive within its material that it fits it into the, it doesn't glorify it. It fits it into the story and the world in a way that makes sense, and it's obviously uncomfortable for people. But I don't think like it got a lot of shit for that. Like back in fuck, when did Goblin Slayer come out? 2019, I think so. But to the point where it was banned from like Crunchyroll Anime Awards in 2018. I think it got banned from the Crunchyroll Anime Awards because of how much backlash it got from episode 1.
Mhm.
But like I don't know, it is a slippery slope. But I think
Yeah,
that
again, it's just how you present it, like making light of the situation in a non-obviously parodic, like a parody way, and making light of the situation or like making it seem like it's a less than it is. That's when you can like get into trouble where it's like, okay, like is this guy taking a serious subject seriously, versus like yeah, again, just representing it like correctly. And I agree that it's not like portraying a certain sensitive topic doesn't mean you endorse it. Of course not. But yeah, in certain situations, it's like does this guy like really care about it? Like yeah, especially in, like Redo Healer, that's like a good example, like one that just like does not. I don't know.
it does not take the seriousness of what it
Yeah,
does.
exactly. Yeah, that's one where they just like act like it's nothing. That's the problem. They um they act like what's going on in that show is just like nothing. Like haha. Like yeah, that's where it gets troublesome for sure.
Yeah. Um, and it's not an easy conversation to have. I just wish people were more like civil with it, I guess, because I think there is
Yeah, there's some
conversation to,
nuance.
yeah, there's a right and a wrong way to go about it, but no one wants to actually talk about that. So
Of course, of course.
the
We just did.
classic society, if just like discourse actually led to anyone changing their mind.
That's not happening. That's not happening. But yeah,
Yeah. I feel like I had something else to say on that, but I don't fucking remember. I'm not gonna try and remember it now.
No, if you guys remember, if you guys think of anything, I mean, it's hard. It's
Yeah, apparently we
for the
have
next
homework
episode.
now. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not homework, but like, I'm sure there's like had to have been like a show. It doesn't have to be like insanely like a very sensitive or controversial topic, but like some yeah, like real life events, unpleasant events that just happen. It could be anything. I think that'd be a good thing to discuss because again, like we talked about, just portraying those things correctly and accurately and realistically is like very important and something anime could explore more. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think there's something because like Planet After Story is something I could touch on, but it's a spoiler,
Oh yeah,
and
you
so I
mentioned that
can't.
before. Yeah.
Um, I guess like a non-spoiler part of that is like the main character has poor relationship with his father, and After Story kind of explores like the nuance of that relationship in a pretty interesting way. Because like normally you see like a parent who's like maybe neglectful or abusive in some capacity, and obviously like your first instinct is like, oh, what a piece of shit. But I feel like the way After Story framed it was interesting because it makes it clear like the father's not doing a good job of things, but there's some like parallels that get explored that I thought were really interesting. But yeah, I can't go into the spoilers of that because one day PK is gonna fucking watch it. So one day I didn't flip for
It
half
might,
a year
you
for
know,
no reason.
at least at this point, I'm not watching anything. So it's not like I'm avoiding it to watch other things a lot. It's I'm barely watching the things I want to watch.
Yeah, I feel like the sensitive subject that like most anime try and delve into is just bullying, but I feel like anime bullies are like really over the top a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Like,
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how. I feel
I
like
don't know.
I've
I
heard
feel like American bullies get a lot more physical than anime bullies do.
I've heard
Um,
that in like some East Asian countries. I don't want to make like a massive statement. I've been heard that like bullying is like a real problem. Like I mean,
uh-huh.
I mean,
we
it's a problem
talk about
everywhere,
it,
but
it's a problem in America, right?
Yeah.
But like in those, it's like if you have like connections and stuff, it's like a lot of school bullies get away with like a lot worse than what happens in
Yeah.
America. Like, you know, we talk about like the stereotypical, and bullying does happen in schools in America, no question. Not denying that at all. But like, yeah, I've heard some like really terrible things that happen, and like, yeah, they can get away with a lot more in some cases. So it might be over the top, but you know, might also be realistic. I don't know. Um, I think bullies in any media are always like kind of like they're kind of portrayed as clowns. Like if, you know, like American bullies in like movies, like from the '90s especially. Like I feel like American like bullies in like American high schools in the '90s are just like it just looks like maybe it's just because dated, but like
the
it's just like
stereotype was
seem like
always
clowns.
like
Yeah,
like
stereotypes and cliques and
the
stuff like that.
fucking
Yeah,
buzz haircut shit like that.
yeah,
Or,
yeah,
like yeah, push him into the locker, which I mean, like that kind of
yeah.
stuff happens, but um. I don't know. That's definitely like the most common. Probably fucking every anime is in high school, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I mean we've talked about a lot like Oshinoko, like those kinds of they bring up a lot of like sensitive topics in regards to like relationships fans have with like idols and stuff like that. And, I guess it's more of a niche kind of population, like a niche subset of you know the entirety of like the population, obviously, right? Like idol cultures is one portion of it, but I think that show does a good job of like
I mean, I think it's
portraying
more
some of the unpleasant
prominent
parts
now
of
than
the
ever
industry.
because like cancel culture is like probably at it. I don't know about at its height, maybe at its height.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
especially with idols because it's like they're made to like put on like a good image, right? Like they're supposed to be clean of like any sort of controversy and anything like that. So like the smallest thing can, especially for them, it becomes like a big problem. That's like
I find it
that's what
funny,
they did.
like in Japan, like the standards there are like considerably higher for like what we view as like the role model, well, not role models, I guess, but it's like the entertainer image. Is you want to be
Yeah, for
completely
idols, it's
perfect. Like if you have
yeah,
an affair, you lose all your job opportunities in existence. But like in America, like I don't know, like a celebrity can do some of the most fucked up shit, and then it's no problem
yeah,
move
it's
on with
just
their
different.
career.
It's like it's an entire subculture. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's It's for sure.
Can get away with a lot more here than anywhere else. Well, yeah, probably. I don't know. Both cultures take it to the extreme in like opposite respects.
Different ways. Yeah. It's not clean anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. The duality of man, so to speak.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure.
Those are the only sensitive things I could think of off the top of my head.
We're a species of all time.
Yeah, one of them for sure.
One of them, yeah. Speaking of all time, that is the end of the episode, unless anyone else says last second.
You could have set yourself up for something so good.
I
Speaking
could've.
of all time, we're all out of time.
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
that would have been pretty good.
Speaking of all time, we're all out of time. That is the end. That is the end of. I'll just edit it a little bit. You know.
Good one, Daniel.
I'm so good at this. Anyway, episode 67. That is the end of that. If you enjoyed, then you should hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or the follow button if you're on like some audio-only platform. Speaking of audio-only platforms, if you want to go over to the YouTube side of things, is the Order Anime Podcast. You can't miss it. We're the only one. If you want to go from YouTube to the audio-only side of things, then in the description, it will take you to our little page, which will then subsequently link you to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., whichever platform you want to use. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST without fail, except for when we do. If you enjoyed, we hope to see you in another episode. Thank you and goodbye.